Hi, it's Sean. This is Spencer Spellman's full interview on Morally Sound. You can also listen to his episode on the Morally Sound playlist on YouTube. If you'd like to hear more, stay updated with the Pingry Honor Board Facebook page. Enjoy! Can you start with your name and your class year?
My name is Spencer Spellman, and I am graduating this year in the class of 2017.
When did you come to Pingry?
I came to kindergarten, but my situation is a little bit special since I did that gap year between ninth grade and freshman year, but still a 13-year student here.
What's it been like to watch Pingry grow over the years?
I'll be honest, it's a little difficult to remember some of the earlier years, and I know I wasn't really paying attention to the changes between I probably kindergarten and 8th grade, but so I can't speak to that. I don't think I can speak to that very well.
Okay. Do you remember anything about the rules and how they changed between elementary school, middle school, and here in high school?
I mean, obviously the freedom is the biggest thing. You're just so much more independent in high school, and I think that's better for kids. I think kids really appreciate being able to kind of take charge in their own life. And I know in lower school, it was like any school, it's a little more hands-on with the teachers, and they kind of follow you around everywhere. I would probably say the freedom is the biggest change that you're given as you progress through the years here.
Do you have any favorite memories throughout Pingry?
Goodness gracious. There are so many, and there's a different for every. I mean, there's an athletic memory, there's an academic memory. I would probably say spirit-wise, it would have been that first faculty student basketball game. I thought that was just absolutely...
It was a really good game.
I thought that was absolutely perfect textbook, just the best. Academically, it would probably have to have been my whole sophomore year Spanish class. Freshman year Spanish class was Senora Godfrey. I know she helped me out a lot. And then athletically, it would be our game winner against, I couldn't even tell you the team, but yeah, those would probably be the three experiences.
Cool. So, we're obviously here to talk about the honor code. Right. Are there any initial impressions that you want to tell me?
Initial impressions. I do think it's great that the school has it. I think every institution should have some type of code that students have to sign off on, and kind of the signing of it really signifies that you're going to follow the code that they're providing for you. So,
Okay. So, over the years, how do you think the honor code has changed, whether it's with your peers or as an institution for Pingry?
I would say, again, the change is hard because when you're so little, you don't remember a lot. But I think, from what I can tell, it seems to have been pretty consistent. There haven't been any changes. It's still upheld when kids violated their punishments. So in that regard, it's very similar to how it has been, and I can't think of a change or an instance or a violation of it that I've been allowed to handle that differently than they have in the past. I would say probably the one thing is it seems to be like there may now be other documents. How do I put this? Like, I know the peer group has to sign off that they won't be using other substances outside of school, which to me should technically fall under the honor code. And as well, I know when the wrestling, what was his name?
Hudson Taylor.
When Hudson Taylor, right, when he was here, he had talked about that athlete ally and sign that paper. And to me, when you create another document that kind of still fits in a piece of it, it kind of, in signing something else, it kind of, to me, signifies that you're not fully adhering if any piece of that falls under that honor code. Like, because I feel like not using those substances outside of school should fall under the honor code, just in its principle, or that the athlete ally thing should as well. So when there are other documents or other things created, I feel like that kind of detracts a little bit from the power of that original
So it's kind of like a divergence of the values? Or?
I think it's just by creating something else that needs to be signed, it's kind of implying that they're not truly followed, or that it's not the outstanding foremost. And I understand the purpose is to kind of reaffirm and restate that this is like specifically this is what you're going to target. But for me, having to go that extra step shows that maybe it's not what you're signing in the newly created document doesn't fully, your actions don't fully follow the original honor code in this case.
Okay, so it's kind of like we shouldn't need to take this extra step.
Right, exactly. Okay. And again, I understand its purpose and the point and why it's done, but for me, it's like, why should I have to reaffirm my athlete ally, I guess, position when I felt that was originally what I had? If you're truly staying by the honor code, that had already been something you'd signed already. That's just my personal take on that.
Do you think it's still necessary, or it's still a good way to engage the community by having those extra documents, or do you see that kind of ideological reaffirmation as kind of problematic?
I don't think most people think about it as much as I do, because for me it's like, oh, that's a sign, kids aren't following it, we need a document, we need something like that. So I think for the most part, most people, it's just nice to bring that up as a reminder. So I would probably say I don't think there's any negative consequence to the community or to the honor code, but I know the way at least I view it, I see it as a little bit of like, that kind of falls into what I had been standing by since my kindergarten year here. So.
Okay, so let's jump into the Hudson Taylor event. How did you feel about that?
I thought he did a great job. I think he was a great guy to speak about it. I think he was able to relate a lot to the kids, which I think is most important in all those kinds of speeches. I think it was nice that it was never, he pretty much spoke about his experiences and his actions. He never jumped to like, you guys are wrong for this is bad. He's just saying, this is what I did, this is the change that maybe follow my footsteps, maybe don't, it's up to you. And kind of take it upon yourself to either agree or disagree with what he was saying. I think the kids interpreted it well. I think it was hard. Where was he coaching in Columbia?
He coached at Columbia, and I think he's moved off to Athlete Ally.
And I know that kids were upset when it was found out that his wrestling team had actually been involved in text messages that were probably, absolutely shouldn't have been sent around. And I know kids were like, well, this kind of feels like, I would say, it kind of totally took away all of his legitimacy, but he wasn't there when that happened, so I didn't feel that way. I know a lot of other kids did, but I think when he spoke, he did a great job of making his point, and just, again, relating to the kids really well. I know most kids took it in very, very well.
How do you see any other potential speakers or role models you think would be really good to introduce to the community?
Like to target a specific problem that there may be?
It could be any kind of problem that you might see, or just someone who might bring a fresh perspective. Because I mean, even for myself too, Hudson Taylor is just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I thought he did a tremendous job, because I think schools in general kind of bore you. It's like, oh, don't do drugs, don't do this, be nice to your peers. But when you get someone like him to come in and really give that informative talk, I think you're right. I think it was a breath of fresh air, but I definitely wouldn't be able to pick somebody who I think would do a good job talking about things. I can't. I don't have anybody coming out of my mind.
So in the post discussion, I know we jumped, or when my advisory came to your advisory, we started delving into the honor code. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You'd have to refresh I might ask you to refresh my memory a little bit. I remember talking about the honor code, and I think one of the comments I made was, again, that his little pledge that he was hoping everybody would sign. I had made the same comments that I made here, that like I think it's implied in the honor code, and I don't think it needs to be signed again, because I think it takes some of the importance and power away from the honor code. I remember. Do you remember much that went on?
I think we moved on to parts of the honor code and maybe the motivations as to why we avoid
I remember
performing some actions.
There was a little bit of disagreement between us. which I like, because I like to hear when people have that other point. I like to see where they come from. But for me, and maybe this is a cynical view of things, but I feel like people, in most cases, are kind of inherently out to be beneficial and to be there for themselves and for others. And I think that in the situation of the honor code, I love what it stands for. I love what it represents / represented. And I feel like the honor code in a place like this, people always reference, like, you can leave your laptops out and it's still on. That has nothing to do with the honor code. That's totally independent of the honor code being established or not. I think a lot of that in particular has to do with just the socioeconomic status. Most of the students here, they don't need that. Where you go to maybe public school where kids need money, they don't have money. And I think that's one thing that most people cite that I've always disagreed with. And I think in general, the cheating, there are still today instances of cheating, there always will be, but I think when students, and I have found over my years here that anytime students are able to take liberties with the honor code and be like, oh, it's a take home. And if they know they won't get caught, they're going to do it. And it has, like, I know myself, I know other kids in some of my classes have been upset when we find out that other kids are doing it. You're like, come on, like, that's not, you're hurting yourself. But I think for the most part, I would feel that signing it now kind of, I wouldn't say for the most part, but I think a large part of it is that now there's a document, your name is on saying you won't violate these things, and it's preventative only because kids don't want the punishments. The less that they stay and by this code would probably be my take on the black code.
Do you think there's a way in which to instill kids the value that they should be doing it for themselves and less so as trying to be punishment averse?
I think you have to be brought up a certain way. I think, this is going to sound horrible, but I think the lifers, I think being here for 13 years or being here since the younger grades in the lower school, I think that a lot of those students have really had that ingrained in them, that what is important is not succeeding. It's about having that honor. It's about taking care of the guys next to you. It's about all the things that are outside just performance. And I think unless you're brought up with that kind of mentality, I don't think there's a class you could take, or it's really a mindset and the view on life that I think you have to develop, and it can't so much be taught. So unfortunately, I don't believe that. I think Pingry's done a great job of it. I know for myself personally, I've seen how well they've helped mold kids from young ages, but I don't think as a high schooler, I think you're kind of close. I know I had a lot of growth throughout high school, like my freshman year self to who I am now was just two totally different people. And there is a chance to change some of those kids, but it's really, 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 really hard.
What do you think the honor code does, and also doesn't do for our community?
That's a good one. I would. Doesn't do is a good question. Stop me with this one.
Take all your time. As maybe a starter, kind of, as you mentioned already, dispelling the myth that maybe the honor code doesn't prevent us from stealing other kids' stuff. Right. That's more of our socioeconomic status, among other things.
Start there. I do believe, I think here's a place where you'll find when the wallets are left around, they're returned. When the cell phones are left around, they're returned. Wallets, computers, all that stuff is always given back to people. And I think that stems from the fact that people are able to provide, their families are very well taken care of, and it's not a necessity for them to get by. They can go out and a lot of kids go out to eat lunch every day here, which I don't think you find in a lot of other places because kids just don't have that kind of money. And I think that's maybe a bad example to kind of base the whole honor code off of. Right. Like kids have money, right? So that's why everybody's so good here. But I think that's just the one example that I'm most often given when I say, I disagree that it really provides this code for kids, because I see the way kids behave to other students or to younger students or whatever, and I think that, again, that particular case is socioeconomic status, and I think the cheating that I had talked about was if students feel they can get away with it, they're going to do it. And that's, again, through my time here, that's what I found.
What do you think the honor code does do?
I think the honor code, straight up, it does a great job. Your name's in a document. You have signed this thing. You have said, I will abide by it. So there is some hesitation not to break that code, not only for the disciplinary action, but just to know that there's something there, like, I did sign that. I did say I was going to cheat, and there's a little bit of hesitation from some students to do something dishonorable. And I think disciplinarily, if someone breaks it, the school's able to say, you signed this, you broke this, there should be consequences, which I think is important. So other than providing some type of hesitation for many students or kind of resistance to break it, and for the school to have a way to enforce disciplinary action, I think those are the two ways, and they're the two ways honor code kind of two things it does for the school.
I'm not sure how much you know, but how do you think the honor board, or what do you think is important that the honor board, what kind of role do you think the honor board should play? Emphasis on the word should.
Right. Again, obviously I'm not on the honor board, and I know I would probably be one of the last students picked to be on the honor board. I know, especially since my view on the honor code is so different, I think, than what the school has its view on it. But I think the students on the honor board, I think it's really important that the students are on the honor board, first off. I like that it's not all administrators, but like students are kind of enforcing what they believe the honor code is, what they believe is right and wrong. And I think that's absolutely tremendous that we are able to have a judiciary system like that. It's very unique too, especially in high schools. I think students are definitely, seems to me, be a little tentative to really enforce strict punishment on kids, which I think, again, is good because they understand that, like, I have also had times when I've had a 4-page paper due the next night, and yeah, it would have been easy to maybe plagiarize this, or maybe I did at one point, and they're able to be like, you know what, this kid messed up, first time warning, and they're really able to truly judge the position the student was in. And I think that's really valuable. I can't speak fully to the ins and outs of it. I should probably be asking you this question. But they seem to be very fair in the punishments given out. I don't think they ever step the line. I don't think students are terrified of the honor board. And I think all in all, it's a very unique system to have in a school. And I think it's very, very important.
Looking to the future of the Pingry community, where do you think we're going, and where would you like to see the honor code in that future?
It's hard because you always think that, like, I wasn't that underclassmen, or we weren't like them, or we were so much better, or all these kinds of things. So it's easy to just be like, yeah, the underclassmen are the worst, because I know every high school student ever has said that about some of the younger kids. But we were them at one point, and I think, I don't want to get too big here and too deep, but I think, like, parenting styles have changed a lot. I think the way kids are brought up now, especially with technology, has changed a lot. I know my little cousin is exposed to a lot that I wouldn't have necessarily had been exposed to at his young age. I think kids are forced to mature really early, and I don't think they're ready for it. I think it puts them in a lot of less than optimal situations. So I'm afraid for some of the future years of Pingry, just like I would be afraid for any school, just because, like I said, of the culture and the way kids are brought up, to tell how great they were. So it's a fear of mine that it may kind of disintegrate because I've seen many of the actions of some of the younger students, and they really like, oh, I don't. And again, I could totally be wrong in saying we didn't do this when we did. But when I see them now, I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate that they're kind of behaving in this way. So I don't spend too much time with some of the younger kids, but other than just a general view on what future generations would look like, I can't speak too confidently about that.
Are there things about the honor code you think we should update for the future to kind of make way for all the changes in parenting paradigms or technology, as you've mentioned?
That's great. That'd be awesome if somebody could come up with some. Maybe it's hard because I'm someone that feels like people shouldn't be policed too heavily. I think that like the more they're told what not to do, the more radical their actions become. Ideally, it would be great to have some section of the honor code, and maybe there is one already that I'm ignorant about, but that addresses different social media platforms and kind of interactions outside of school, because now they happen so much more and so much more frequently because kids can text, Snapchat, Facebook message, DM. You can do all of these. There's so many ways to connect with kids outside of school, and the problem is the interactions aren't really. I don't know if there was a way to kind of put a guideline in to maybe be like, try and be nice. But again, it's not, you can't punish a kid for saying something a little bit mean about somebody or not following him back, right? Like, they're little things that you can't really punish. So, I don't know if you could put an addition on to the honor code. Is there one currently? I figured that.
I don't believe there is anything on technology in terms of the original text now.
So if there's something that somebody would come up with, I'd love to see it. Again, it has to be mild because you can't police people outside of school. They're just kids.
I believe there might be something in the fair use policy. So, I mean, it's technically Pingry run.
Right.
Are there other values that you think we should be instilling in our community?
Yeah, I feel like togetherness. I feel like community is something we could maybe work on getting a little bit tighter. I'm not saying it's horrible now, but I'm saying there definitely could be improvement, whether it's support for athletic teams or support for the arts. And it's difficult again because you go to school at a place where kids will live 2 hours apart from each other in both, in an hour one direction, an hour in the other. And to get here for a 5 o'clock game is impossible. To get here for a 3 o'clock game may be difficult with the amount of workload we get. And I haven't thought too much about it, but I do wish there was a way the school could really get people together in a genuine way. I'm not, like I said, I don't know how it would be done, but that would be something I would like to see the most, a community that was really, really tight.
How do you feel about the word, our motto, or one of our mottos, excellence and honor?
I think all the kids here are stand-up kids. I really do. I believe everybody here deep down is genuinely a good person. And I know, since I'm heavily involved in athletics, I see it there the most. The way we conduct ourselves, even the football team, wherever it is, I know these are football guys, right? But the way we conduct ourselves on the field, and the way we speak to each other, we speak to referees, we speak to opponents, we speak to other players after the game, is really different. Again, I've played on club teams, I've played on teams outside of school, and there's not the same type of. It's just, they're really, when it comes down to it, they're really nice, genuine kids that. I think that's the one thing that sets us apart. I think a lot of times we're ridiculed at it by other schools about, I guess they would call it how soft we are, but I think kids are very, very respectful and conduct themselves well, at least on the athletic fields, and really does set us apart from the other schools.
What do you think you'll miss most about the Pingry community when you leave for college?
My teachers, absolutely. I 100% miss my teachers. I know, again, my big change from freshman to senior year was like, I love all my teachers now. I respect them. I see them as people. I think that's harder. I think we get great personalized attention here. And the two teachers want to know you. I'll be going to a big school next year, and I know my class is going to be huge. So I'm a little afraid I'm not going to get, like, I don't need to be best friends with my teacher, but I do like to know them. I do like the fact that they'll talk about their lives outside of the class. They will sit down with you and help you for however long you need it, because the teachers here genuinely care about your education. And I know at many public schools or at schools my family or friends go to, they'll be like, oh yeah, like the teachers don't seem to care. Here they absolutely do. And I will miss the faculty here more than anything.
Are there any specific faculty you want to give a shout out to, or if you want to tell a story?
I have, I would probably say, I don't want to say it here. I feel bad if I name a few teachers, not the other ones that are expecting shout outs. I would have to say, again, I don't even want to give the top three because I feel horrible. But in particular, I would probably shout out Senora Godfrey, because I talked about that change.
Right.
I think she's the one, when I talk about like really sitting down and realizing that, like, hey, there's something I can help you with. I see what's wrong. Let me help you. Let me try to fix you. And I was thick-headed as can be, and she kind of would get through to me, and it was because she was so affectionate and personable, that I felt like this teacher really cares about me. Like, whereas I saw a lot of authority as like, I don't want to go to school. School's the worst. It's like, but she doesn't want me to have to do this homework, right? Like, she cares about me as a person. She cares about me more than grade or a score or a percentage. And I know she had helped me kind of realize that you're supposed to respect those people because they're not bad people, they're real people. She would talk about her kids and her life, and it really opened me up. Oh, God, I feel so horrible not calling out all my teachers. I can give you a list of 10 teachers that I feel so bad now. But I know she probably was the first one that really took, I don't want to say held my hand, but kind of gave me a shake and woke me up to be like, this is what you're missing. By resisting everything, you don't truly understand so much because you go in with a certain mindset. And she helped change that for me, so I would have to thank her. I don't want to thank all my teachers now. But
you have all the time in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I know another teacher I had, well, I'll just do freshman and senior year, that really helped me was Miss Leonard. I know I wanted to go into business, I wanted to be in business. And so I took economics this year, and I had kind of, at one point, started to fall off the gas a little bit in that class. I was like, oh, it's getting a little whatever. The class energy was low a few of the days. And then the one day she held me after class as well and was like, I want you to draw, we were working on graphs in class, drawing graphs. And she goes, I want you to draw these graphs multiple times. I just want you to sit here, we'll go through them, I'll help you, I'll hold your hand and do this whole thing together. So I drew them on board. And I was like, again, I had that moment, I was like, they really care about me. She doesn't have to be helping me now. She's now not eating lunch because she wants to sit here with me and help me with these graphs. I got a next to 100. I did very well on the test because I was so focused and I didn't want to let her down because she had put time in me, and I wanted to be like, I'm going to put serious effort for this too. I'm going to beat you. And I know that got me really excited, especially the senior episodes kick in. That kind of kicked me in the butt again. And gave me that extra little bit of push, seeing again how much teachers care about you. I'm gonna have to stop myself and go all day, from advisors to other faculty to coaches. I mean, they're really, they're great.
What do you think has been the thing that has left the biggest mark on you as you're getting older, getting ready to graduate and move on to college?
honestly, the faculty. I mean, I've been here my whole life, so the school itself has shaped me. Like the school has made me who I am now in a lot of ways. I mean, again, I attribute most of it to my parents, but the school has been there for all of it. One thing that shaped me would have to be, I mean, I would have to give you maybe a list of the top three. Would have to be athletics, interaction with other students, and then the faculty. I think that had changed me the most. So my interactions throughout high school with my faculty. Middle school and lower school, not so much. And again, it could have been a maturity thing, but when I came here and I saw how much you're really cared about by the faculty, it's really impressive. It's really impressive. So that would have to be the thing that's left the biggest impact on me as I look forward.
What do you hope to see in college that might be similar to what we do at Pingry, community-wise, spirit?
What do I hope that's similar?
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I can give you. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think the school I picked was very different from me. In a lot of ways, like Spirit's enormous. Kids will stand outside in the rain to go see something they don't even care about just because it's a Penn State event. It's huge, whereas it's a really small community. I don't know if I could. Maybe just the kindness of the students would probably be something I like to see here, because I know, like I said, a lot of the kids here are just really genuine, honest, good people. I hope I come in contact with a lot of people like that there.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the thing that I hope to see in college.
Well, I am pretty much done with all my questions. Are there any last things or stories you'd like to tell on anything? Or if there's something, or if there's some advice you want to give to the freshmen or anyone who might be listening?
Anybody who might be listening, I will give my whatever. So the one lesson I learned is get to know people. Don't judge them for what you see at face value. Don't judge them by what you hear from other people. I believe once you spend enough time with somebody, you'll find, again, at least here, that the people here are all great people. They all have life experiences. They all have things they've had to struggle with. None of them are perfect. And just spend extra time getting to know somebody, because I can promise you that whoever it is, especially if it's a teacher you don't like, spend extra time with them, get to know them, and you will love them and respect them and realize that they're great people that care about you. So just get to know people, spend that time to talk to somebody.
Okay. Well, Spencer, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Spencer Spellman, Pingry class of 2017, Penn State University.
That's right.
2021. Spencer, thank you again.
Thank you.